What if I told you that the history of South Africa is not just a story of gold and apartheid, but of ancient civilizations, lost kingdoms, and a people who refuse to break? This is not the history you learned in school, and by the end of this journey, you'll see South Africa like never before. From the ancient footsteps of the first humans to the struggle for freedom against one of the most brutal systems of racial oppression, this is the entire history of South Africa, told like you've never heard it before. Stay with us, because the truth is more powerful than the myths. South Africa's story begins before history itself, deep in the cradle of humankind. Here, over 3 million years ago, our earliest ancestors walked the earth. Fossils like Australopithecus africanus, known as Mrs. Pless, reveal that this region is where humanity itself was born. Fast forward to 200,000 years ago, the first Homo sapiens, people just like us, emerged in southern Africa. These early humans were more than hunters and gatherers. They crafted tools, created rock art, and built spiritual traditions that echo through time. For thousands of years, the San and Khoikhoi people, some of the world's oldest continuous cultures, thrived across South Africa, leaving behind intricate cave paintings that tell stories of their lives, beliefs, and the world around them. By 500 CE, powerful migrations reshaped the region. Bantu-speaking peoples arrived, bringing ironworking, agriculture, and new ways of life. This wasn't just movement, it was a cultural revolution. One of the most mysterious and impressive sites from this era is Mapungubwe, a kingdom that rose in the 11th century. At its peak, Mapungubwe was a wealthy trading hub, dealing in gold, ivory, and glass beads from distant lands. The discovery of a golden rhinoceros buried with royalty proves that African civilizations were thriving long before European contact. Yet for centuries, these stories were hidden, deliberately erased to deny Africa's rich and complex past. In 1652, everything changed. The Dutch East India Company established a supply station at the Cape of Good Hope. But it wasn't just a stop for ships, it was the start of colonial domination. The Dutch settlers, later known as Boers, began seizing land, pushing the Khoikhoi people to the margins. For the first time, South Africa became a battleground between African sovereignty and European ambition. As the Dutch expanded, conflicts ignited. The Xhosa people, fierce defenders of their land, waged a series of battles known as the Frontier Wars, a struggle that lasted over 100 years. And yet this was only the beginning of South Africa's long fight for freedom. By the mid-1800s, South Africa's land hid a deadly secret: diamonds and gold. The discovery of these resources changed everything. In 1867, the first diamond was found near Kimberley. And in 1886, gold was discovered on the Witwatersrand, the largest gold deposit on Earth. These discoveries triggered a rush of fortune seekers and the rise of powerful industrialists like Cecil Rhodes, whose ambitions laid the foundation for racial segregation. To fuel their empires, the British and Boer elites exploited African labor, forcing thousands into brutal mining conditions. These systems of racial and economic oppression would later evolve into apartheid, but the seeds were already sown. In 1948, the nightmare became law. The National Party introduced apartheid, a system designed to strip black South Africans of their rights, their land, and their humanity. Black South Africans were forced into homelands, denied basic rights, and subjected to constant surveillance. But where there is oppression, there is always resistance. Heroes emerged: Nelson Mandela, Albertina Sisulu, Steve Biko, and thousands of others who risked everything to fight apartheid. In 1964, Mandela was sentenced to life imprisonment, but the spirit of freedom could not be caged. International pressure grew, protests erupted, and by 1990, Mandela walked free. In 1994, after decades of struggle, South Africa held its first democratic election, and Nelson Mandela became the nation's first black president. Apartheid had fallen, but the scars remained. Post-apartheid South Africa is a story of both hope and struggle. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, led by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, sought to heal a wounded nation. But deep inequalities, rooted in centuries of colonialism, still persist. Yet, South Africa remains a land of resilience. Its music, culture, and people continue to shape the world. From the rhythms of Amapiano to the spirit of Ubuntu, I am because we are. South Africa's history is not just a national story. It's a human story, A story of ancient kingdoms, colonial greed, and the unbreakable spirit of a people who refused to be silenced. And here's the truth, this story isn't over. It's still being written today. If this journey through history moved you, there's so much more to uncover. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because here at African Echo, we bring you the stories they tried to erase. And remember, a people without the knowledge of their past is like a tree without roots.